What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pints and Parlays, your Vegas sports podcast. I'm Mike, joined as always by the one and only Aaron. Aaron, what's
Yo,
up,
yo,
buddy?
yo. What up, man? How you doing, bro?
Dude, I'm so happy. I love this time of year. The Stanley Cup playoffs are the absolute best, and obviously, we're gonna talk about all of everything, every little series a little bit, but we're mainly gonna talk about the hot, the rolling, the John Tortorella Vegas Golden Knights, baby.
Holy shit. Like, their run since they fired Cassidy was unbelievable. Like, it was nonstop. Yeah, they lost in the shootout um, the one time, but still, every other game that they played has either been a one in regulation or in overtime. So, what a difference.
It makes you wonder what was actually going on with Bruce Cassidy and in that locker room because they were struggling all year. Then all of a sudden, see ya, 8 games to go, and the next
Yeah.
thing you know, John Tortorella comes in 7-0-1 through that stretch, and man, they're going to be a tough out like they are every year in the playoffs.
Man, I was a little worried there for a while because yeah, they started off hot, then they died out, then they got hot again, then they died out again. And I couldn't understand it. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And like the goalie situation has always been shaky all season. But they were losing games that they should have fucking won.
Oh no, yeah, it's been very interesting. There's been some really big bright spots. I think there were some really bad clunkers. It took Anderson, the guy they got for Rasmus Anderson, that defenseman.
Yep.
It took him a while to start playing well. It took Marner a little bit to get playing well. It's weird to me that when as soon as John Tortorella comes in, Carter Hart looks like the all star that he was in Philly. And it makes
You
it makes
almost want him instead of Hill though. Like the way he was playing was just unbelievable.
Well, we'll dive into what they should do in goal and everything like that a little bit later. Let's do a quick look at the board as we start this. The Stanley Cup odds I just put up on the screen right here. I got these odds earlier today from FanDuel and Caesars. I'm sorry, those are series odds. There we go. I got these from DraftKings. Colorado is obviously the favorite here at plus 300 to win the Stanley Cup.
And the President's Trophy they should be, but
That President's Trophy curse is real.
yeah, that's
So
true.
we'll see.
Big time.
Carolina's right behind them at plus 475. Then you have Tampa 5-1. Then there's Vegas sitting there. Vegas and Dallas sitting there at 10-1. Ottawa and Edmonton 13-1. Buffalo 14-1. Minnesota 18-1. Pittsburgh 25-1. Utah 35-1. Montreal 35-1, and then a bunch of long shots down at the very end that probably won't get out of the first round. I mean,
Honestly,
it's going to be
being the Knights are being 10-1. That'd be a great bet, even for just $20.
right. I think there's a lot of. I think if you're looking, we'll talk. I mean, if we're going to talk value, I think if you have a value play of something you can play, I would say probably Vegas at 10-1. I
Yep.
don't. I mean, Edmonton at 13-1 as well. They've been playing a lot better, and if they get through the Knights and if they get through the Knights in Colorado, I don't know. I do think the Stanley Cup champions coming out of the West. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But you never know. The one Stanley Cup matchup before we start talking about the series and everything. The one Stanley Cup matchup I really want to see is the Jack Eichel Cup. I want to see Buffalo versus Vegas in a Stanley Cup final, and who's going to have the ultimate bragging rights at that point if those guys play each other? To see the real winner, basically, of what that Jack Eichel trade was. I know we got a cup in 2023, but if they play each other, heads up for the Stanley Cup, that's going to tell you the real winner right there.
I mean, yeah, Chuck played for Buffalo now, who plays for us before the trade. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that I think were sent to Buffalo for Jack Eichel. That would 100% probably be the best Stanley Cup matchup, just because both teams are going to be like, all right, well, we got Eichel from you guys, so we're going to shove him down your throat. And then then Buffalo's going to be like, hey, well, we got these guys for Jack Eichel. We're gonna shove them down your throat.
Yep, that's exactly how I feel. And like, I think too that there is something a little bit to go into a team that's not been in the playoffs a long time, because there's going to be extra juice everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Look at. I mean, that's the reason why Eichel left Buffalo to begin with, because he was playing his ass off for this team, and they were nowhere near playoff contention ever.
I was looking at, like, they were talking about resale ticket prices. So like I saw in the resale market, you could go to the Knights game, game 1 on Sunday for like $70 a ticket. They're saying that in Buffalo they're selling for $400 a ticket for game 1.
Yes, it's just because it's been so long since Buffalo's been in that situation to where they can go.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
it's
can
just
Vegas, like you put on the post, Vegas has been 8 of the 9 years that they've been in here. So that's a pretty great fucking track record. So I can see why the tickets aren't as high.
Yeah. So speaking of that, if we want to touch on what the Knights have done, it's been 9 seasons. This is season number 9 for Vegas. It is 8 playoffs, 4 conference finals, 2 Stanley Cup finals, 1 Stanley Cup. It's just impressive what the McCrinnon and McPhee have been able to build here and actually keep going for a long time, and just the willingness to continually take that swing to make, to get this team better. They don't. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it. And I posted something earlier that, I mean, they're cutthroat too. Trade Fleury the year after he wins the Vezina. They
right.
fire Bruce Cassidy a year and a half basically after they win the Stanley Cup. They fired Gerard Gallant in the middle of a season to bring in Pete DeBoer, who was the rival coach for the Sharks, in the middle
Right.
of the season, a year and a half after they got to the Cup, and he won the Jack Adams for Coach of the Year. It's just it's just nuts when you think about it, of where they'll do anything to win. And
Yeah.
no, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's just unbelievable that the stat line that they put up in the 9 years that they've been in the league. I don't think there's been any expansions ever in the history of sports who have been this successful their entire time that they've been in a league.
No, and I think if you want a prime example of how expansion teams usually go, just look at Seattle. 1 playoff appearance in 5 years. They were supposed to be touted as the competitor to the Knights, and they never even been that. I don't think the Knights have barely even lost to them since they've been in existence.
Honestly, I think they were crowned like supposed to be the next Vegas Golden Knights, and they weren't even close. They made it to 1 year, but then they've been trash ever since.
And what's crazy, the thing about Seattle too is what's crazy about that whole thing is they've been willing to spend money. They spent money on Grubauer. They spent money on Chandler Stevenson. They've spent money on other big name free agents, and all of them have been duds. They overpay. I mean, I love Chandler Stevenson. He was a great Golden Knight. The Knights, Mark Stone got him paid. The Stanley Cup got him paid. It's the same thing, kind of what has happened with Marchessault. When Marchessault left to go to Nashville, he's been terrible since he left. And that kind of seems what.
It also depends on who your line mates are. Like Stone made Stevenson. Carlson made Marchessault. I mean, they would have been nowhere had it been not for them guys passing them the puck and them scoring them goals. Yeah, Stevenson was fast, but his shot had to come from a veteran to be able to decipher when to give him the puck and when not to. If you don't have that on your next team, then you're not going to be shit.
Yep. So let's talk about the series odds for a little bit. I'll put them up on the screen right now.
Okay.
So Pittsburgh is playing Philly. Pittsburgh is -170 to win that series. Buffalo is playing the Bruins. Buffalo is -175 in that series. Carolina against Ottawa. Carolina's -170. You do have 2 really big favorites on the board. You have Tampa Bay at -250 against Montreal, and then you have obviously Colorado as a massive favorite at -380 against the Kings. The Dallas. I will touch on the Dallas and Minnesota series, but the Dallas Minnesota series could have been a Western Conference final any other year, but this year.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Minnesota, they kind of got the high hard one facing the President Cup Trophy winner. However, like you said, the President Cup trophy curse is very, very real. So, I mean, that might be worth just $5 on
I mean,
for Minnesota. I mean, just in case.
so the last time the President's Trophy winner won the Stanley Cup was 2012, 2013. It has only happened since they've started the President's Trophy 38 years ago. They've only won 8 times. So the
That's not
best right
best.
it says since 2013, 10 of the 12 President Trophy winners have failed to advance past the second round of the NHL playoffs. So even if Colorado can get through round one, there's no guarantee, they're getting through potentially Dallas or Edmonton or Minnesota, one of those
Right.
in round two.
You look at when Tampa Bay and Florida won the President's Trophy a couple of years ago. Both of them lost that year in the first fucking round. Like, there's absolutely no guarantee.
Yep. And I think too, let's talk about, so I guess we could talk about that series first, the Colorado and LA series. So Colorado took 2 out of 3 in the regular season. They won November 8th, 5-2. Habs dominated that game. McKinnon had 2 goals and 1 assist. Back in January, the LA won that game 3-2 in overtime. And then March 22nd, so less than a month ago, Colorado won that game 4-1. So it's been a while. I think Colorado's they're going to be too much for LA. LA had a lot of overtime games this year. It's kind of like how VGK is.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, our last game against Colorado, we won in overtime. So I mean, the thing that's going to help Colorado is if they can finish when it counts. You're
Yeah,
going to
and
go
I
into
think
overtime and lose, then what are you even doing?
yeah, and I think LA. I mean, LA barely snuck into the playoffs, and their rewards playing the best team in hockey, arguably. Regular season wise, at least the best team in hockey. So
Right.
you're gonna have. I think they have better goaltending. I mean, obviously they have better forwards, they have better goaltending, and I think that series is, I'm surprised it's as low as -380, and the odds percentage on the side right here was via Money Puck. Money Puck's pretty good for odds about analytics side, and they give Colorado a 68.3% chance to win the series, and that I would say that's probably about right. I think
Yeah.
I don't really see the series going more than 5 games. Do you?
I mean, the Kings have been a lot better these past couple of years than they have been. So I think they'll put up more of a fight for Colorado than what they used to be. Obviously, what they used to be was they would have probably got swept in 4 or 3, depending on the series. But now, I mean, and hockey is so delicate when it comes to favorites nowadays. There's been many times where the Knights were the favorite and lost. So, I mean, honestly, playoff hockey is a lot different than what it used to be. So there's always a chance. And like I said, it might be worth a shot putting $5-10 on the Kings just to win that series because you never know.
Yeah, like you said, you never know on how series go and how things can be, but I just think that Colorado. If I'm gonna take Colorado as a big favorite potentially in a series, I'm gonna kind of think, okay, they're gonna get the history of the first round, and then if like how it's been the last 10 or 12 years, 10 out of 12 years, I'm probably gonna take whoever they're playing in the second round, just because that's just the trend of how everything has gone. So
And honestly, being -380, I wouldn't touch that series to begin with. That's just too high of a fucking price. If you had to lay 380 just to win $100, there's no way. I wouldn't even touch it.
no, I mean you would have to do something in that series of uh, yeah, I just think that, I mean, Wedgwood has been great all year for them. He won 30 games. I think he had a very very low goals against, if I remember correctly. I think it's like low twos, if I remember.
I think he's probably one of the few that are almost under 2 per game.
Wedgwood won 31 games and had a goals against of 2.02.
Right.
I'm gonna
So yeah,
take. I'm probably knowing that, and if he can step up in the playoffs, and if Anton Forsberg if he's the number one, in like he has been recently for the Kings, he's been. I mean, Forsberg against the Kings this year, he was 0-2 with a 3.57 goals against and an 88.9% percentage. I just think that's Colorado's just had his number. He scored seven goals in 2 games, 7 goals in 2 games against them. So I'm gonna take my prediction for that series is Colorado in 5. What's your prediction and take on that series?
yeah, I would probably say that. I mean, if he struggles against the Kings, then you gotta obviously take whenever he's gonna be in net, take the Kings that game because like you said, they have his numbers. It's just like when we got Hill. Hill was the second stringer, and then came out and did great for us, so we paid him. So it just depends. But if their number one goalie is struggling that hard against the Kings, anytime he's in net, take it the Kings.
Let's go. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Stars and the Wild. So Dallas is minus 120 in that series. So that series is basically a pick 'em. Rupe Hintz, who's very valuable to the Dallas Stars, he's been rolled out for game 1 and game 2 at minimum, which that's a big loss for the Stars. Also, Miro Heiskanen is also questionable for game 1. So if you're down 2 of your top, 4 players, basically, it's going to be they're going to be in for a rough game 1, game 2 at home. But they play.
Just take Minnesota on that one.
So the Minnesota won the season series. They outshot Dallas 101-73 across all 3 games. So they've had their number. So I think this is a very bad matchup for the Stars, especially with injuries. Quinn Hughes, ever since he was traded to Minnesota, he was been great. I think especially if Heiskanen and Hintz miss time, Hintz could miss the whole series. That's kind of gonna be okay. What can Jason Robertson do? What can Mikko Rantanen do? How healthy really are you? Can Ottinger steal you a game? Because Ottinger is the better goalie in this. I mean, is the better goalie between the two. So we'll see if how that holds up. But I think it's gonna be a tough road if he doesn't play well and those 2 injuries come back to get him.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Uh-huh. You're good. Sorry about that. So, but yeah, I agree. Honestly, with the Stars top 4 players, like you said, 2 of them being out, I would probably lean towards Minnesota at least in the first 2 games, depending on how bad the injuries are. Honestly, I kind of like Minnesota in the series though, because in the past like 7 years, Dallas hasn't really shown up in the playoffs like they should. Like there's been times when they were like one of the top 3 teams in the league and lose in the 3rd round. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like they could mess this up and they could be watching the rest of the playoffs from the couch.
No, I agree, and I think it sucks too because the way this is so stupid to me how the playoffs are set up in the NHL. They were the number 2 and number 3 seeds overall record wise in the West. In any other sport, that's a better matchup. That's probably a second round Western Conference final, but you're getting that in the first round of the NHL. So it kind of
Right.
sucks from that perspective. But I think it's gonna be a great series. I would say if those guys, if Heiskanen can play and Hintz only misses a game or 2, I think this is a series that goes 7, and it can go either way. And I think the goaltend is going to come down to goaltending. And I mean, I know Ottinger's been hot and cold, but if I had to rely on that, I'd probably take. If they don't miss significant time, I'd probably take the Stars in 7. But if they end up missing time, I agree with you. I think it could easily be a Wild, in 6. They steal what they're supposed to do and they take care of business.
Honestly, I feel like this would probably be another $20 buy just on Minnesota, just to see. Because again, I mean, look at Washington. Washington had 98 points and missed the playoffs completely. The Knights have 95 and made it. So, I mean, hockey can be anything. And with it only being
The
20,
I would say the Knights won their division too at 95.
right, at 95. And the Capitals missed the playoffs completely at 98. So hockey can be any way. And that's why with Dallas only being a minus 120 favorite, I say throw money on fucking Minnesota, man. I mean, what's going to hurt? $20? Shit. Anybody going to afford $20, right?
So let's move on to the third series we're going to talk about, and that's Edmonton and Anaheim. Edmonton's minus 205 in this series. Draisaitl's supposed to be back for game one.
Right.
So even if he's 70%, I'm going to take Draisaitl and McDavid over a young Anaheim team.
And here's the thing that's interesting about this series, because Edmonton and Anaheim are both 2 and 3 in our division, so they're no slouches. So they're gonna bring in the heat. So I can see this series going 7, just because both teams are trying to prove their worth.
So Connor Ingram has been the starting goalie for Edmonton. He has a .902 save percentage, but over the last in April, he had that in March. In April, he had a .907. He's getting a little bit better. Lucas Dostal is the starting goalie for Anaheim. He had 30 wins this year. You know, that Dostal is the type of goalie that could steal a series if it absolutely came down to. You know, Cutter Gauthier had 41 goals this year. You know, they're young and they're powerful, and I think, you know, Anaheim. It's just going to be, can Anaheim, how Edmonton is in the playoffs, when they go on those waves of they get back-to-back goals, or, you know, you go from being 1-0 to it being 2-1. Can Anaheim keep those respond to those waves that McDavid and Draisaitl can throw at you? Because Ingram's vulnerable to give up goals. It's just a matter can you have the confidence to do that? And, you know, Joel Quenneville is a great coach, and I'm with you. I think this is going to go deeper than what people think. I've seen a lot of people just think Edmonton's going to walk over this series. I think it could be, you know, a 6 or 7 game series.
I mean, yeah, you got McDavid with the speed, and then you got Draisaitl with the shots. But as long as their goalie can stay on point and protect the net from those guys, Edmonton really doesn't have a shot at it, I don't think. Because, I mean, you got all these young kids playing for the Ducks who are still fresh in their careers. So they got speed, they got hunger, and if they can get the consistency down, this could easily be a great series.
I think, you know, you had Stuart Skinner last year steal the VGK series. I don't think you have that in Connor Ingram. I think for my prediction for this series, I'm going to go on a limb here, and I think I'm going to take this as my first round upset, and I'm going to take the Ducks in 6 at +1. I'm taking the Ducks at +170, and I'm going to take them in 6. I think that the Ducks can get it done.
I still think the Ducks can do it. I think they're going to handle business.
So the only reason I don't say just to push back, the reason I don't say 7 is because I don't think the Ducks can win a game 7 in Edmonton. I think if they're going to get it done, they're going to have to get it done in Anaheim in game 6.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. It's hard to win in the opposing team's stadium, but I still think that Anaheim's going to get it done. I don't think Edmonton is the Edmonton of old. I think that they're dwindling down. They've built off a lot of players since they've been hitting the Stanley Cup Finals the past 6 years. So I don't know. I think Edmonton. I think it might be too much for Edmonton.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's talk about the series that has the team that made the playoffs for the first time in 15 years, and that's the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres were a pleasant surprise this year, but so were the Bruins. The Bruins weren't expected to do much at all this year after trading away Marchand and letting all their good players go. And they snuck in in the playoffs. David Pastrnak did David Pastrnak things. I think he had 100 points again this year. Buffalo. Shocked a lot of people. They won the Atlantic Division. Made the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. They fired their coach early in the season. They fired their GM early in the season, and they just went on a run after that. And but Boston did play well against them this year. I think they were. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Boston won the season series 3-1, and they won all 3 games. They won both games in Buffalo this year. But I think it's going to be very interesting. Buffalo is very deep. They have 13 players on their roster that scored 10 plus goals.
And honestly, I feel like speed is a huge, huge aspect in hockey. And Buffalo's got a lot of speed guys. So the only thing is Boston going to be able to perform against them in the playoffs?
And I think the biggest. I mean, it's going to come down to goaltending, just like it is going to be. And I think in the Edmonton Anaheim series, if Jeremy Swayman steal a series? Jeremy Swayman is so good when he's on. He can steal a series. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bruins won the series.
I wouldn't either, because they're the Bruins and they have the history, but with it being Buffalo's first time so many years being in the playoffs, they're going to be super hungry, all them guys, and they're going to want to prove themselves. I would probably take Buffalo in the series, but I'm going to say 7 games.
Yeah, I think this is one of those series, just like we were talking about, that's probably going to go 6 or 7. I think that there's going to be a very exciting, hard-hitting series. Yeah, what do you call it? The Bruins went 3-1 against them this year.
Yeah.
So, the Bruins had their number, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Bruins took this series.
Hockey is way different than regular season, especially for a team like Buffalo, who hasn't been here in so long. They're going to want to try to pretend they got into this playoff series.
But that's why I kind of feel confident with guys like a David Pastrnak, with Elias Lindholm, with Jeremy Swayman, like the veteran guys that are there. When did the Knights get Eichel? 4 years ago. Tuck hasn't been in the playoffs. Tuck hasn't been in the playoffs in 4 years, 5 years. Like, it's been a long time for some of those guys in Buffalo that haven't played in playoff hockey. And you never know. Tage Thompson's a beast. But let's see. He played well in the Olympics, so let's see if he can continue like he did in the Olympics and in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, because he was a big factor in getting as far as they did.
So the next series actually, what's your prediction for this series?
I'm gonna say Buffalo.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take the Bruins in 6. I think this is my other upset. If I had 2 upsets, this is my other upset. I'm taking the Bruins in 6. I don't see any other ones, personally, in my opinion, on the board that are gonna, that stand out to me that it could be an upset. But I'm gonna take this as an upset. Buffalo, you had a great season, but your city has history for choking. Just ask Josh Allen. So
you're gonna have the Bills Mafia in the fucking in the Sabres parking lot jumping on tables and shit.
No offense. Buffalo does not do well against Boston in any sport, so I'm gonna take my suck against the Patriots.
Here we go, bringing up the Patriots and the Bills. It's over, man.
Hey, the Patriots split with them, and the Patriots won a division this year. So
this is hockey, not football.
All right, moving on. I gotta get mine. I say Bruins in 6. That's my pick.
These are going to be good. Like, there's not really, other than the Avalanche and Kings matchup, none of these are going to be closer than what everybody is saying they're going to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. The only other one, the one we're just about to talk about, that I think could be a very lopsided series is honestly Tampa, Montreal.
Yeah. Tampa should dominate that series. They should.
Yeah, Noah Dobson's probably out for the series. Vasilevsky's good luck playing against Vasilevsky in the playoffs. Vasilevsky's just a monster. Cole Caulfield's been great. Nick Suzuki was great this year. Their first line is arguably one of the best in the NHL with Soflowski, Caulfield, and Suzuki. So, but you got Nikita Kucherov, Vasilevsky, and Tampa's just Tampa, dude. They never go away.
They playoff history too. They got the playoff advantage because they've been in the playoffs way more than Montreal has, and they've got the experience. So I just think that's going to carry them over.
Me too. And for my prediction for this, we're not going to go too deep into this series. I just think unless you have more, I think Tampa's offense is too much. Vasilevsky's going to be too much in this series. I think I got Tampa. I'm taking Tampa in 5.
Yeah.
I think we lost you.
All right.
I think we lost you, Aaron. We didn't hear anything you said. Yeah, we didn't hear anything you said.
Okay. So I said I agree. I think it's going to be Tampa in 5.
Yeah, I think they're too much. I think they're too talented, too much experience. Tampa in 5 just seems too easy at that point. Let's talk about the next series, Carolina and Ottawa. Carolina's minus 170. Carolina's, they've been very, very good, especially since the Olympic break. They kind of got things rolling. Carolina doesn't have to play Florida, and Florida's been their problem.
Right.
So
honestly, I feel like Carolina could sneak this one by. Obviously the favorite, but Ottawa is also like very unpredictable because they can have great games. They can pass people if they have to. I'm with you. I think Carolina's gonna take this one just because they don't have to play Florida.
So Ottawa's beat them 2 out of 3 times this year. Ottawa scored 7 goals in the 3 games. Carolina only scored 5 goals in 2 games. So I expect that to change. Linus Ullmark is another one of those veteran goalies that's been good. Carolina does have goaltending questions with Brandon Bussey not being, or I'm pretty sure it's Bussey, and Freddie Anderson just not being. They've been good. They've won games, but they haven't been very consistent. So I just think, I'm with you, though. Their offense, I think, is just going to be too much. They don't have to play Florida. I think this could be the year Carolina actually makes a deepish run. And I think it's aligning for them to be good. And I don't see an upset here. I think it could be a good goaltending series, and it could go 7, could be low scoring, could be just exciting, like we've all talked about, Stanley Cup playoff hockey. But I'm going to take Carolina in 6 here.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm going to say Ottawa, just because of the fact that they have the series and they scored more goals. I don't know. I kind of like the underdog on this one. So I'm going to go Ottawa.
So our last series that we're going to talk about before we get into our Vegas Golden Knights is Pittsburgh and Philly. Pittsburgh is minus 170. The season series was 2-2. Both the times Pittsburgh won was in overtime. The Flyers have been the best team, one of the hottest teams in the NHL since the Olympic break, going 18-7-1 since they returned. I think it's it's Sid the Kid, man. Sidney Crosby just absolutely tortures Philly. He has 32 points in 22 games in the playoffs against Philly. I think they're going to be. This is a very interesting series. Very, it's young guy, young versus old. It's Rick Tocchet and the Flyers got them rolling at the right time. Very interesting.
Honestly, I agree. Like, this is another series where is the playoff experience and games under the belt going to win, or are the young guys who have the speed and the hunger going to take the series? Like, I honestly, like in the playoffs, like it's just a different ballgame. Like, all these guys want to prove themselves. They want to say, "Hey, we're supposed to be here." I don't think the Flyers in the series.
I like the Flyers too. They've been hot, and I think they can keep it rolling for at least one more series. I think they Probably go 6. I like seeing these I like seeing the matchups in the playoffs of like teams that hate each other, like Vegas and Edmonton, and Florida and Tampa, and
Yep.
these two teams hate each other, and I just think you're going to get good hockey, for 6 or 7 games.
The rivalry is definitely there, and these two teams are going to be pounding on each other. I wouldn't be surprised of 5 penalties for fighting, honestly.
And to be honest, before this season, nobody really thought either one of these teams were going to make the playoffs. So both of these teams are kind of playing with house money because everybody wrote off the Penguins thinking this is a rebuild. Sidney Crosby's old, and nobody really expected Philly to make that jump to go to the playoffs this year. So it's kind of interesting from that aspect too. You got one side, Malkin and Crosby, who were written off, to the young guys under Tocchet. They called up Porter Martone. He's 19 years old. He's 6'3", 215. He's a beast. He has 10 points in 9 games since he's been called up. They have young guys like that on their roster. Trevor Zegras figured it. He became the player that he was in Anaheim that he lost the last couple of years. It's just they have a lot of young guys, and it's kind of just like we talked about with Edmonton and Anaheim. It's young versus older, and two teams that just don't like each other. And I just think, like you said, house money, and there's going to be a lot of fights, a lot of physicality, probably a lot of hard hits, and it's going to be just some great hockey to watch.
Yeah. And so far, a lot of these series, I think, are going to be like that. There might be 2 that aren't quite as good, but the rest of them are going to be outstanding hockey to watch.
So let's touch on the last series, which is obviously the most important one. Is Vegas versus Utah. Vegas is a -190 favorite in this series. They opened at -180. They dropped to -160. Then it bounced. People bought that low money, and it's bounced back up to -190. Utah won the season series 2-1. Outscored Vegas 10-5 in the 3 games. But I think it's different because the first 2 games were in November. So it's hard to gauge under the, I guess it was partially the last stretch of Cassidy too. All 3 games were under Bruce Cassidy. So it's interesting to see how that dynamic plays in. What's different about how Torts has this team rolling. So
I think the Coach T aspect is going to honestly take the series. I feel like the Knights are going to be coming in with their hot streak under Coach T. I think they're just going to melee Utah, honestly.
So I saw an interesting nugget on Twitter today. So they put out at practice today that the Knights are going to go with basically what they're calling their torture line, their top line, which is Marner, Eichel, and Stone. Then the second line, he moved up Brett Howden to the second line, and he has Barbashev, Howden, and Pavel Dorofeyev. Pavel's an absolute beast.
And he's got the most goals scored on the team.
Then the third line in practice today was Riley Smith, Hurdle, and Kolesar. And then the fourth line was Smith, Dowd, and Colton Sissons.
Okay.
And then Carter Hart was goalie number 1.
So you said Riley Smith was in line 3, but Smith is in line 4.
The other Smith, the one that they got from Nashville. Craig.
Okay. I was a little confused. I'm like, Smith playing 2 lines.
No. So Carter Hart is the projected goalie for Game 1 from what it looks like. He was in the starter's net in practice today. Aiden Hill looks like he's going to be the backup. So it's William Karlsson has also been ruled out by Kelly McCrimmon for the series. Kelly McCrimmon said that if Vegas advances through, there is a chance he returns for round 2, but we'll see, obviously, how that goes. I don't expect him to come back. They've been fine with him for basically the whole season. But it would be nice.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it would be nice to get him back.
Yeah. All our body injuries are very particular, so they don't want to try to rush him back, obviously, too soon. But if he's ready, he's ready. It would be, like you said, it'd be great to see him in the next series, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, he can get filled up real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not Craig Smith. It's Cole Smith.
Somebody does Smith. No, just kidding.
But let's recap both teams a little bit. Jack Eichel in 74 games this year finished leading the Knights with 90 points. He had 27 goals, 63 assists. Mitch Marner, he only missed one game all season, had 80 points, 24 goals, 56 assists. Mark Stone had 73 points in 60 games this year. He probably would have got 100 if he would have played closer to 70. He had finished with 28 goals, 45 assists. Pavel Dorofeyev, 64 points, had 37 goals, which led the Vegas Golden Knights. I told you for the Knights to be at the beginning of the season, I said for the Knights to be good, he needs to have 30 goals, and he had 37.
Yep, that's your boy.
He's good. You know, I was telling I forget who I was talking about this the other day with, but I was like, if you go back and look at 2023, he was a healthy scratch when they won the Cup. You had a 30 goal scorer just sitting up in the booth.
Drinking beer, watching the playoffs.
Hurdle finished with 58 points. Barbashev finished with 61. Theodore finished with 39. Hannafin 28. Riley Smith 26. Carter Hart was obviously the storyline to the end of the season. Finished absolutely on fire when he came back from injury. I think we'll talk about Utah real quick. Clayton Keller, 88 points. Dylan Gunther led them in goal scoring. He had 40 goals. He had 73 points. Sergachev, their top defenseman, 59 points. And they have some good superstars. Clayton Keller is a really good player. Karol Vejmelka is their goalie. He won 38 games this year. He started 62. Their backup is terrible. He's 5-13. Vejmelka was the starter in 2 of the 3 games against Vegas this year. He won both of them. He has a 94% save percentage and a 1.50 goals against the Knights in the 2 games. I would say, do you think that Tort sticks with Hart for the whole series, or do you think he plays Hill and Hart?
Honestly, I feel like it's going to be gauged over the first 2 games. Because if Hart was in the starting night during practice, he's going to be at least a 2 game starter. So honestly, it just depends. I mean, like with Hill, when he started winning, he stayed. So, I mean, honestly, I feel like it's really going to be gauged over the first 2 games. I can see.
What I was gonna say is, you said that if it's a game or 2, do you think that he gives them a long leash?
With his streak, the way he's been playing recently, yes, I think he's got a longer leash than Hill does, and I honestly feel like as long as he proves himself in game 1, I said 2 games, but honestly, if he plays great in game 1, I think he'll ride out at least this series.
I agree. I think that if he plays well, he's going to stay in. But I think that that it's going to be if he gets lit up early, and they get down 2 or 3-0, and he gives up 3 goals on say 5 shots, he's coming out because you have another number 1 right behind him.
Oh yeah, easily. And Hill would be a number 1 in India almost probably at least 75% of the teams in the league.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you probably see Hart game. I could see you see Hart game 1. Maybe if they were to rotate it, you see Hill game 2, and then whoever plays better is going to play that first road game.
Yeah, but I'm going to go ahead and say Knights and 5.
I think so. I think Knights and 5. I think they're rolling. They have their experience. They're a better team. They lost all 3 games with Cassidy. I just don't think that it's going to be. I just don't think they're going to be able. They're a completely different team. They're 7-0.
I think the moment they're going to be able to hang with this Knights team. the way that he's been putting it together, enforcing whatever rules that he has, and expanding the game time situations because they've been great.
Yeah, I agree. I just think the Knights are too experienced, too much, and I think it's going to be interesting. The one thing other than the goaltending that I'm very interested to watch is how well Marner is going to play in the playoffs. You know, he's been hit. He was hit and miss in Toronto, but could that be the pressure of Toronto? That was getting to him. Vegas is completely different. You know, when you have Marner and Stone next, or I'm sorry, Eichel and Stone with you, who have been there, they've won a cup, especially playing with like somebody like Stone. I think that's going to make Marner raise his game to another. I think we're going to see him play a different level than he was in the regular season.
I 100% agree. I think just because he didn't have to live down Austin Matthews being in Vegas, I think that's probably going to up his confidence too. Because I mean, when you got somebody like Austin Matthews on your team, that's who everybody talks about. They don't talk about you. I think he'll show up during the playoffs for Riggs.
I think so too. So that's our show today. We wrap up the NHL. We'll talk after. We'll be back. Start doing this more consistently again. We can talk after the first two games of the VGK series next week. Talk about those before the middle of the series. Talk about whatever we want to talk about. It's Vegas, baby. We talk about betting. Talk about whatever we want. So make sure
we got stuff coming up too. We'll talk about that more next show. This was just pretty much our hockey preview. But we got a lot more interesting things coming in Vegas sports. So feel free to.
The A's are going to win the AL West this year.
Fucking.
But yeah, make sure you subscribe. Every like and subscribe helps. But yeah, make sure you grab your pint, get your bets in, follow our picks.
And as always, drink your pints, baby.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
So have a good night.